Meeting order. Before I go any further, I'm the culprit that is going to make everybody lean up and speak into your mic because apparently I was the worst one last meeting out of all of you.
I said one.
So make sure you bend over and speak into your mic.
Appreciate it.
And the clerk will have us. Roll call.
Fullerton,
Here.
Christensen,
Present.
Finn,
Here.
Brummett, Scott,
Here.
Rodriguez,
Present.
Newman,
Here.
Mayor Fullerton, you have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Tonight we have the better half of the Schaefer family here. Pastor Emily, the invocation.
Thank you for having me. Let's pray. Lord Jesus, we just thank you so much that we can come into this place, and we just pray that you would be with us. I pray that you would be with the city council, the mayor, the councilman. I pray that you would bless this meeting. I thank you for it. We thank you that in your word in James 1:5 it says, if any of you ask for wisdom, you will give it to him without reproach. And so we just ask for wisdom and clarity. We thank you for the city of Charlotte. We thank you for this night. We just bless it. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen. All rise for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now we have some minutes. We'll take them one at a time in case there's questions or corrections. So we have firstly minutes from the December 22nd, 2025 regular city council meeting.
Moved.
Move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Any question on no, A?
In there, it just says that which you had mentioned earlier, that Mayor Lewis called the meeting to order. And I do believe I called that meeting to order.
I think, did the clerk have that? Yep, she had that correction already. Perfect. Thank you. Any other corrections?
Yes, under Communications Committee reports, under my report, it says only minimal service from Newport House should be the new courthouse would continue. He also noted they're searching for a new executive director after previously sharing one with CATA, not Charlotte, CATA.
Okay. Clerk has those. Any other corrections? All those in favor of approving the minutes as corrected, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now we have the December 29th, 2025 special council meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Moved and second to approve. Any discussion, corrections, or additions? Mr. Rodriguez.
I personally would like to table this, and I understand if everybody doesn't agree. I think obviously there was a lot that happened in that meeting, and I by no means expect Michaela to be a stenographer and write every single thing that was written, but I wish I could have been, so this is on me, but I wish I could have been more prepared to offer all the additions, but I had not had a chance to finish those. So there's just some few points and sentiments from myself personally at the meeting that are not reflected in the minutes that I think need to be there. So for that reason, I would wish for a table just so that I can attempt to add those at a later time.
The council's wishes. Or do you want to make a motion to table?
I guess I'll allow for discussion first, and then if nobody has anything, then I'll move the table to the next meeting.
Is he looking for that's the motion? I'll second the motion to table the minutes.
Moved and or to table the minutes from December 29th, 2025, which would mean they come back at the next meeting. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Opposed?
Roll call vote. No.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Christensen?
Yes.
Newman?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Brumett?
No.
Chin?
No.
Motion carries 4-3 then. So those minutes are tabled till the next meeting. Now we have the January 5th, 2026 special council meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any, Christensen? Any corrections or additions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. January 5th minutes are approved. We don't have any absence of any council members, so nobody, but we do have a public hearing, so at this time, I'll open the public hearing for the International Fire Code 2021 edition, ordinance 2025-09. Is there any comment from the public? It's a thick book, so there's lots to discuss. Is there anybody online?
Does not look like anybody's raising their hand.
None?
No raising.
Okay. We'll close the public hearing and open the public comment period, which you are allowed to speak for 5 minutes. Come up to the podium, give us your name and address.
Name's Dan Richmond. I live 1050 West Lawrence Highway in Charlotte. Commenting on the resolution for the MDOT to change the Lawrence Highway from 4 to 3 lanes. In my opinion, that is a very short-sighted decision. We already have a traffic problem on Lansing Road that has not been addressed. Going to 3 lanes would reduce traffic flow and cause congestion. Saying it is a ability or to reduce emissions is not true. You increase congestion. You reduce the amount of cars that just sit there at idle. I already know a ton of people who avoid Charlotte just because of the traffic on Lansing Road. I am one of them that will drive all the way around the city to avoid. Doing it down Lawrence Highway or Lawrence Avenue would be a very, very poor decision. And on the last part of this, when I heard about this at I believe that was the meeting on the 22nd of December, I believe it was Christensen that said that no public comment was necessary because we already had a safety meeting. I haven't seen anything about a safety problem brought hold. If you want to correct me, that's fine. But public comment should always be the first priority. Having heard it that night, I was a little irritated that that was the opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment from the audience? I'll ask the clerk if there's anybody online. See how it works. Jody Pruden, go ahead.
Just wanted to double check and make sure we're working.
Working fine.
Okay, good. Good job, everybody.
Guess so. Thank you, Jody.
Is that it? Okay, thank you, Jody. We'll close the public comment and look for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
I support that.
Is there a second?
Yeah.
Second it? Any discussion on approval of the agenda? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is approved as written. Now we have a special presentation from our audit firm, and you have a packet with you. And I guess we'll ask for the representative to come to the podium.
Hi, my name is Dane Porter. I'm a senior manager with Maynard Casterison, and we've done the audit for your fiscal year 2025. This is our third year doing the audit for the city. I'm the manager, I guess, so responsible for overseeing the field work and the reporting. So wanted to attend tonight and present the results of the 2025 audit to you. Go over any questions you guys might have. If I can't answer them tonight, I'd be happy to get back with you with an answer once I can look at our work papers and have an answer for you, I guess. So with that, we'll start out with, before the meeting, I passed out a little abbreviated presentation packet. Besides that, you should have each received a copy of the full audit report, I believe, a set of financial statements, a single audit report, and then also a letter to the city council. You should have received those either in a hard copy form or in a electronic copy in the board packets. So with that, everything that I plan to go over is going to be in the little presentation packet. But if you have any questions that I don't touch on with those pages, feel free to ask them. And like I said, if I can't answer them tonight, I'll get back with you with an answer as soon as I can. So with that, we'll just move into the little presentation packet. We're going to start with the first page there. It's a few select paragraphs from the independent auditor's report. It's the one piece of the audit, the financial statements we consider to be ours. So the financial statements are your financial statements, the city's. We've simply taken your numbers, we've tested your balances, we've bound it up into the reports, that kind of thing, but it is still your financial statements. We're simply giving our opinion on them. So the independent auditor's report is pages 9 through 12 of the bound financial statements. One of the first sections there lays out our opinion on your financial statements. So in our opinion, the financial statements present fairly in all material respects. That's what's known as a unmodified opinion. There's no modifications to it. Highest level of assurance that we can give that your financial statements are fairly presented in accordance with GAAP. There are 3 different tiers to an audit. There's a regular generally accepted accounting standards audit, which would just be a basic financial statement audit. Every government in Michigan is required to have one once a year. Very small governments are able to have them once every 2 years. Beyond that, there's a yellow book or a government auditing standards audit, which will be taking that basic financial statement audit and adding an element of testing your compliance with your controls. Certain grants might require that. And then beyond that, there's a uniform guidance audit, or what's known as a single audit. So if you spend more than currently $750,000, going up to $1 million with your next fiscal year, if you spend more than that threshold in federal awards, you're required to have what's known as a single audit or a uniform guidance audit, which basically just takes that yellow book audit and adds an element of testing your compliance with the grant requirements. So that was the case for you guys this year. You spent more than $750,000 in federal awards. So there was a uniform guidance or a single audit report that we'll touch on in a few pages here. But that's basically the 3 tiers of an audit. Again, we've issued a unmodified opinion. So again, it's the highest level of assurance that we can offer. It's what you, the city council, wants to see. It's what the state wants to see. No material departures from GAAP, that kind of thing. Next section, we'll be going over the management's responsibility for the financial statements. So management is responsible for the preparation and the fair presentation of the financial statements in accordance with GAAP. That includes the design, the implementation, the maintenance of your internal controls, and then also responsible for fraud detection, deterrence, and prevention. So when I say management, I'm talking about the city council and the administration. I'd like to remind you guys the overall intent or the purpose of the audit isn't necessarily designed or intended to detect fraud, but certainly if we were made aware of anything during the audit that we were concerned with, we'd definitely share that with you. And then finally, the auditor's responsibility for the financial statements, like I said, is to express reasonable assurance on the financial statements. Not absolute assurance. We can't test every single number. We give reasonable assurance that the financial statements are fairly presented. And again, the purpose is not to detect fraud or express an opinion on your controls. That is a city council and a management responsibility. So from there, we'll turn to the next page. The financial statements consist of two sets of financial statements, essentially. There's the government-wide financial statements, then there's the fund-level financial statements. So the government-wide financial statements kind of puts everything into two buckets, either governmental activities, business-type activities, and also component units. Component units are kind of excluded from most of the reporting discussion, that kind of thing. Governmental activities would be all of your governmental funds, so the general fund, major street, local street, the fire fund, things like that. Business type activities would be like your water and sewer fund, more of like the enterprise fee for service type activities. So looking at your statement of net position, snapshot of your financial condition, close of business on June 30, 2025. A couple things we like to point out here would be your current ratio, how easily you're able to pay your bills when they come due, your liquidity, if you will. Looking at the first column there, governmental activities, current assets, $9.6 million, compares to about 1.8 million of current liabilities. So you got 5.2 times more current assets than current liabilities, able to pay your bills when they come due. As a benchmark, anything over 1 is a good number. Some places might say to strive for 2. So certainly 5.2, definitely more than 1, more than 2. So you're in a nice, healthy, liquid financial condition. Looking at the business type activities, 6.03 million for current assets, 151,000 for current liabilities. So you're at about almost 40 times more assets than liabilities. So again, very liquid. A couple other things to point out here, I guess, would be looking at your net pension and your net OPEB liabilities. Some of the biggest liabilities on this statement here. As of June 30, 2025, the net pension liability is measured as of December 31st, 2024. That's going to be MERS fiscal year end. Your OPEB liability is measured as of June 30, 2025, so the city's year end. Those two things combined, so between the deferred outflows of resources, which shows up as an asset, the net OPEB, net pension liability itself, and then the deferred inflows and deferred outflow, or inflow rather, which is shown as a liability. Those three categories add up to about $10.2 million as a liability, net liability. In the current year, it was about $10.3 million last year. So a little bit of an improvement overall between those two large category or liability sources categories. And then bottom line, or last thing I want to point out here would be the unrestricted net position. So the portion of net position governmental activities that's available for spending in future years, negative $4.8 million. And that's mainly because of that $10 million in net pension, net OPEB liabilities being shown. If those weren't there, that would be a positive number. But taking into account the net pension, net OPEB liability, that unrestricted net position becomes a negative 4.8 million. That was negative 4.4 million last year, so a little bit of a decrease or a worsening, if you will, in the unrestricted net position. Next page we'll look at is the statement of activities, another one of the government-wide financial statements, so kind of focusing on the governmental activities, business-type activities. Starting on the left-hand side of the page, given the expenditures, or I'm sorry, the expenses for the various city-offered programs. As you read from the left to the right, it goes with the expenses, and then any program revenue, so any charge for services, any grants, contributions that are specific to those purposes. Then you get over here to the right-hand columns, shows the net expense, the net revenue. So in other words, if the program is self-sustaining, if it is essentially making money, using money, that kind of thing. Not uncommon at all for the governmental activities there to be negative numbers. You're not typically going to recover those or charge for services necessarily to offset those costs. So those will be primarily offset by property taxes, state shared revenue, things like that. Then you get down into the business type activities, water and sewer, recycling. Those should typically be offset by user fees, so those should be positive numbers, generally speaking. And bottom line here is you added to your net position in the governmental activities, $677,000 for the year. Next page we'll look at is the governmental funds balance sheet. We're going to focus mainly on just the general fund as the primary operating fund for the city. The other funds are all limited to their purpose. Again, this right here is going to be a snapshot of your financial condition, close of business on June 30, 2025, more of a current resources, short-term focus. A couple things we like to point out here would be what we consider to be the spendable fund balance, so your, what we call the unrestricted fund balance. If we look at that assigned fund balance, $859,000, plus the unassigned fund balance, the $2.7 million, those are going to be about 44% of your annual expenditures. The GFOA does like to recommend at least 17 to 20% of your fund balance, or of your expenditures in fund balance for a cushion, representing about 2 or 3 months of cash flows. So definitely at 44%, you're in a nice, healthy fund balance. Fund balance can go very quickly depending on future capital spending, things like that. So not excessive, but it's a nice, healthy fund balance. Next page, statement of revenues, expenditures, changes in fund balance. This is going to be the results of operations for the fiscal year. Again, all the various governmental funds. We're going to focus mainly just on the general fund again. Overall revenues, $7.7 million for 2025. That's down about $230,000, or about 2.8% from your 2024 total revenues. Total expenditures, $7.2 million. That's up about $300,000 from your 2024 numbers, or about a 4.3% increase in total expenditures. Transfers out, $628,000. I believe that's up about $400,000 from last year's transfer out. To cover shortfalls in the fire fund, I believe was most of that. And then the bottom line here is you used about $163,814 of your fund balance. Your amended budget for the year called for a use of about $1.3 million. So you came in better than your amended budget as far as a use of fund balance or a decrease in fund balance. Next page, this is a 5-year graph showing total revenues, total expenditures, total fund balance. The blue bar is representing your total revenues, burgundy bar is representing your total expenditures, and your yellow bar is representing the total fund balance. So key takeaways here is 3 of the 5 years, so 2022, 23, and 24, you added to your fund balance. Then you had slight uses of fund balance back in 2021 and 2025. Yep.
Is it common to have the ebb and flow like that every so many, I mean, is that?
Definitely, yep. And the uses of fund balance there in 21 and 25 were very small uses of fund balance too. It's not like it was big uses of fund balance, but they were fairly slight. But yeah, not at all uncommon. Next page here, a couple of pie charts showing the composition of your revenues and expenditures in the general fund again. Largest revenue source for the year, property taxes, about 59% in the current year, 48% in the prior year. Intergovernmental being any state shared revenue, any kind of federal and state grants, that's at about 29% in the current year versus 39% last year. So a little bit of a swing between those two categories between 24 and 25. Then finally, the composition of your expenditures, largest expenditure source for the year, public safety at about 49%. That's going to be any police and fire paid out of just the general fund itself. So 49% in the fiscal year 25 versus about 40% back in 24. And then general government being all the various administrative functions, clerk, treasurer, management, things like that. 25% this year versus about 28% last year. So pretty consistent. Next graph is going to be, again, looking at just the general fund. This is going to be a presentation, I guess, of the past 5 years, where the city's actual unrestricted net position or net fund balance fell compared to what the GFOA would or recommends as far as that 17, 20%. So this represents the unrestricted fund balance as relates to your annual expenditures. So starting out with the low point back in 2021, down about 20%, increasing to the highest point there in 2023, probably around 57, 58%, and then back down a little bit, back down to that 44% in 2025. So again, well above what the GFOA would recommend for the 17 or 20%, at least in the years since 2021. Next few pages, I don't really plan to touch on too much. Similar graphs as what we just saw for the general fund, but for the water and sewer fund. Key takeaway on this graph would just be that in the past 5 years, you've added to your net position. So the blue bars represent the revenues transfers out versus the burgundy bars being the expenses transfers out. You've added to your overall net position in each of the past 5 years. So being a enterprise fund, a business type activity, that's what you want to see, is you want to see revenues exceeding your expenses. That way you're recovering all of your operating costs through the user charges. Next page, in terms of total net position, again, for the water and sewer fund, the green pieces of the bar here represent the spendable piece, the unrestricted net position. The red bars in those first 3 years represent any restrictions on your net position, whether it's for debt service, whatever the restriction might have been in those 3 years. And the blue bars represent the amounts already spent in capital assets. So you can't really spend those capital assets. You're simply going to use them in future years. If you wanted to spend them, you'd have to sell them off and liquidate. But that's not really feasible, being water and sewer assets. Last graph here is going to be similar to the general funds graph there. So the unrestricted net position as it relates to your operating expenses less the depreciation, which isn't a cash flow. So basically the outflows of cash, essentially. Again, low point, just under 20% back in 2021. And then in 2025, you're up a little over 120%. Last page I plan to go over would be a summary of the, what we call a schedule of findings and question costs. Again, because you had a single audit, because you spent more than $750,000 in federal awards, this page here just kind of summarizes the results of the audit. First section there being the financial statements. Again, we issued a unmodified opinion on your statements. There was a material weakness identified in the single audit schedule of findings. No significant deficiencies and non-compliance material of the financial statements. There was some non-compliance. In terms of federal awards, no material weaknesses, no significant deficiencies. And we issued a unmodified opinion on your compliance with the major federal programs. No other findings required to be reported. In terms of the program that we chose to test, Public Safety Partnership and Community Policing Grant. And you were considered to be a low-risk auditee, mainly because you were not audited in each of the past 2 years with a single audit. So in order to be considered a low-risk auditee, you have to have a single audit in each of the past 2 years with no material weaknesses. And the only real difference between a low-risk auditee and a high-risk auditee is that we would have to test 40% of your federal awards as a high-risk auditee versus 20% of your federal awards as a low-risk auditee. So with having the material weakness this year, you still considered a high-risk auditee next year and then the year after that, but then could potentially drop off from that if you're still required to have single audits based on federal spending. And that's all I had planned to go over, but if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them. And if I can't answer them tonight, like I said, I'll get back with you with an answer.
Questions from the council? Do you have one? I guess so. Go ahead.
Can you go back to page 22?
Yep. That's the statement of activities.
Second?
That's the statement of activities from the financial statements.
Yeah, I wasn't able to track along with the numbers when you were talking about business activity.
Okay.
And the surplus in water. And
Yep.
I wonder if you could recap that for me and make sure I at least just see the same numbers you're talking about.
Yeah. So if you look on the right-hand side of the page there, where it says net expense revenues across the top for the heading, there's going to be the 4 columns, one for governmental activities, one for business type activities, one for the total, which is the combination of the city, I guess, business type and governmental, and then the component unit would be the DDA, LDFA, and then also the brownfield. So in those last 4 columns there, it kind of shows you if those various programs are going to be self-sustaining or if they're supported by property taxes, state shared revenue, that kind of thing. So in the top part of the graph, in the government activities section, you got the negative 630,000, negative 5 million.
Pause there for a second.
Yep.
That's one I don't see. Where is that? Oh, that's up. All right, so for government activities, you said it was 630,304.
Yep, that's for the general government, yep. And then public safety, $5 million. So that's going to be the fund level expenditures minus any direct charges for services or grants that are specific to those purposes. And then everything else will be offset by property taxes, state shared revenue, interest, things like that. And then going down a little bit farther, you got the business type activities, water and sewer, and those things being enterprise funds, business type activities. You'd generally speaking want those to be positive numbers, meaning that you're recovering the cost of operating those services through the user charges. Yep.
Other questions from the council? You have one?
Because you were the leader of this whole audit project, correct?
Yep, correct.
So if we were to receive a report card, A down to an E, where would in your opinion, would we be right now?
A to E, I guess I'd probably say B minus, somewhere in that, C plus, somewhere in that ballpark. Definitely, I mean, the statements are fairly presented. You're in good, healthy financial condition. There were some hiccups during the audit process, caused some delays in the reporting, but overall, again, the financial statements or statements themselves are fairly presented. Good condition.
Yeah, on the page, let me see here. Doesn't have a page number.
Okay.
2 pages after page 25, so 27. There's a couple graphs there. The top one is 2024, because it says 25 there. Is that top graph of 24 still?
Look at the one that says general fund revenues expenditures. No, not that one.
General fund revenues and other financial sources.
Okay. It's the 5-year bar chart?
No, it's a little pie chart.
Pie chart, okay. Yep,
It has 5% tax and 7% charge for services.
yep. Gotcha.
Those both say 25. Are they both 25 or is the top one 24?
One is revenues and one is the expenditures. So the top graph is revenues.
Somewhere in there you talked about 28% of something, but then I didn't see 28% anywhere. Were you just, that was the 29% and just kind of rounded?
Oh, I think I was probably on the expenditures. So looking at the general government, they're the blue piece of the pie. It's 25% this year, but then last year, so fiscal year 24, that was 28%. So just kind of trying to lay out how much they shifted or comparing 24 to 25 as a percentage. So the 28's not on your paper there. It's just a number that I mentioned.
You just brought it up from the previous year.
Yep.
In your role, you pointed out that there are material weaknesses found. Now, do you monitor the material weaknesses to make sure that we're on a path of resolving those and taking care of those and then reviewing those back with the city? Or do we wait until next year to see if, because I noticed one of them was a repeat from the year before?
Yeah, generally speaking, we'll at least address it in next year's audit as far as what the status is. But I know that the city is working with some consultants on ongoing, I guess, mentorship assistance. So I believe that would address at least one of those weaknesses there.
Thank you.
You said in your report, or maybe the treasurer said in her report, that all the things that you found have been planned to be corrected by June 30th of 2026, correct?
Correct, yep, that's the, in the single audit report, there's a page with the findings and then the management's response or corrective action plan to that.
Okay. And a quick question, talk back to retirement only because we've talked about this many times.
Okay, yep.
And you deal with more than one city. Are all cities in the same boat with retirement issues?
It really just depends. Some cities are overfunded. Most of them are not. I mean, most cities have a net pension liability. I don't recall as a percentage what percentage you guys are as far as being funded, but it's across the board really, and it can also fluctuate greatly year to year based on investment performance, things like that. So if you were 65% funded this year, even if you make all of your contributions, you may come in at 60% next year just because of investment performance. But, and there is that 6-month lag for you guys. Again, this is based on December 31st year end for MERS versus your June 30 year end. But overall, I think for all the governments in Michigan, it just really just depends.
So is that concerning as an auditor? Is that concerning that we're where we're at, or are we in good shape as long as we can keep paying some of it off?
I think you're in good shape, yeah. In fact, I think the city, or the state rather, again, I don't recall what the exact percentage was, but as long as you're over, I think it's like 65% funded, the state considers you to be in good shape.
Okay, any other comments?
Just on, he's talking about the investments. If I remember right, when the lady from MERS was here, she's, and we don't get any say-so over these investments. So
Correct.
that's controlled by MERS. So if they lose money, we're the ones that have to figure it out.
Correct. You guys have no control over that, really, yeah.
Just a quick comment then, only because I've been through audits for the general public. The auditor is somebody who is not associated with the city whatsoever. It's an independent audit. They aren't your friend when they come here, but they usually are when they leave if they don't. But I don't think in all the 30 or 40 years I've been watching audits, I've never seen a clean audit. So it's very common that some of these things that they find that have to be fixed are, it doesn't worry me because they're not major items. And so, I mean, I think it's in roughly or relatively a really good audit for the city. I think you would agree with that.
Yeah.
And so, we're not in bad shape and we don't have anybody stealing any money or anything like that has been proven out, so.
On that same chart that we're on there, though, could you just give me some examples of what is the intergovernmental revenue?
Yep.
What would that be?
So it's going to be any state shared revenue. So the sales tax are from the state. It's going to be, this is only the general fund, so it's just going to be, like I said, the state shared revenue, LCSA, so the local community stabilization authority reimburses for lost personal property tax. Any grants you might receive from the county, any other small grants from the state. I can't really think of any specific ones off the top of my head. Any federal grants, so if you were still spending any of your ARPA money from a few years ago, that would be considered a intergovernmental grant. Probably some of the COPS stuff there, so like any of like the police grants you guys had received, if that flowed through the general fund, that would show up in that burgundy piece of the pie there.
So, Mr. Manager, is there something we have to do with this audit report?
No, we like to present for transparency and clarity, but beyond that, it's a report that's submitted, and obviously there's a lot of follow-up with the state and others to submit this to, but there's no specific action of City Council at this point.
Typically, the council would just vote to receive or accept. You don't have to approve it, just receive and accept.
Move to receive.
Second. Move in second to receive the auditor's report. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you for your
Thank you.
presentation. That brings us to the manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor Fullerton and the City Council. I do want to thank Christina Horton for a solid, positive audit. I know it's been a heck of a year. Christina's been in a catch-up mode since she arrived, but she's done a great job of bringing us together, adopting policies, and being the real leader of our financial situation. So Christina, thank you. In the report that I presented, it's pretty much our goals and objectives. I didn't put a lot of detail in it. Unfortunately, or fortunately, at the next meeting, there'll be a lot of detail. But just some heads up, streetlight review, I have a meeting with Consumers Energy tomorrow. The building construction inspection program review, we've received bids. I know our fire personnel are reviewing that information. We'll see if it's going to be presented or not. We're still working through the detail. Of course, our capital improvement plan review, that's being submitted by department heads right now. The municipal building improvements review, you've already seen the proposal. We hope to have something later in the spring, and I can keep going on. So community development, obviously the downtown street improvement, you're talking about a chunk of that tonight related to the street improvements and other situations. Neighborhood enrichment, there's a variety of grants. The Chill Grant or the CDBG grant for the housing strategy review and others. So we're working really hard to address the city council goals and of course all the other information and stuff we are doing. So beyond that, I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Questions for the manager? Well, out of our huge staff table tonight, do we have anybody that wants to speak to the council? Or the clerk? Is there any council committee reports? None? Mr. Chen, anyone?
Yep, I do. As a matter of fact, I'll wait until comments and.
Rodriguez, any committee reports?
Just that that our CM search committee did meet with Mr. Hillard, and so he's been working towards getting us the bids or the next step, so that way we can go ahead and look at the possible firm options and decide what direction we want to go. We did express to him that, we had thoughts or ideas on what we were looking for, but as a whole, what we really want is the firm to come and present to council and get from council the information needed as to what the search is going to look for or what the firm is going to look for. So I just want to assure that we're not taking any kind of big directions. We're just staying organized, trying to keep us on track. And all official decisions will be brought right here to this room, and we can go from there. That's it. Thanks.
Had a planning meeting, covered pretty much all the ground of the suggested zoning changes and the such, so I'm certain we'll be seeing that before too awful long. Camp Francis meets tomorrow night at 6:30 at the cabin.
Mr. Newman.
Just trying to wrap my head around all of this, being my first official scheduled meeting instead of the special meetings that we've had. A lot of information to take in, process, look at. And,
You're not on the committee yet, but we'll take care of that shortly.
right. I figured I'd be voluntold for something.
Mr. Rommett.
I don't know if this is the point in which we're talking about the possibility of a meeting, find the interim. But that was discussed that if all goes well, we'll probably have a meeting tomorrow to discuss that aspect of desires that we can hopefully fulfill, and then bring back to council to express the candidates that may be available for the interim position. That was all I've got.
That's correct. And to jump on with that, we do have a meeting tomorrow, and it'll be with the department heads, and then the manager, Councilman Brummett, and myself. And hopefully we can look at whatever's been collected. So there is some real positive people out there that Mr. Hiller's been able to contact. So it looks brighter than I was afraid it might look. So after tomorrow, I don't know if we'll have to call a special meeting or not, but I hope not. But it is important to move. He's got one more meeting, he keeps telling me, and the third is coming shortly, which is true. So, we'll move on to the consent agenda. On the consent agenda, we have approval of claims and expenditures totaling $575,987.09. We have the approval of a city clerk appointment, which the manager and the deputy clerk interviewed for, I think, 7 people. Alicia Smith is the chosen candidate. Approval of guidelines for poverty exemptions in 2026, something we do every year. We have to set that limit. Approval of a resolution 2026-01 to update authorized signatories for the new grant due to changes in leadership. Pretty common. And approval of a mayoral appointment to the Parks Advisory Board, where I'm removing myself from the board and installing Councilman Brummett because he's already been involved with the Parks Board and part of the tree nursery that we're been working on. So I won't get to go to those meetings anymore, and he'll have to set in. That's it. If we have a motion to approve the consent.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Okay.
Moved and approved, or moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda is approved. Business agenda, consider approval of resolution 2026-02 to amend operating and capital budget appropriation of funds fiscal year 25-26. You got your packet, the treasurer's here to answer any questions you have. Do you have questions for her? Or does the manager like to make a comment? Anybody have questions for the treasurer?
I'm new, as we know, and so anything you can offer to me to enlighten me, I mean, I can read, I believe, pretty well here, but just the same, it's some tough. And so for me to say yes to things that I have an option to say, please help me. And so hopefully I'm not putting anybody on the spot, but there's a bit to learn on this, so.
Christine, can you come up and just do
Has any, just some snippets,
these are, you'll see these things happen all the time.
sure. It'll become
That's
commonplace.
right, you don't have to come up anymore, do you?
Yay.
Good.
So those expenditures are just extra projects outside the budget that the department heads asked to be included in the budget.
Okay.
If you want to know about specific projects, you'd probably have to reach out to the specific department head.
Okay. That's better than I had by just scrolling through, so thank you.
And so maybe in the broader sense, these are documents that, as we get into continual routines, will be provided quarterly. So again, as we know, a budget is a plan, but we stick to the plan as closely as we can, but through situations and circumstances, not always negative, not always positive, just the function of running a city, you need to reevaluate your budget on a regular basis. This document is what is presented. The plan is every quarter, and so what you're seeing there are adjustments that have been communicated to the finance department through departments and others, and usually through either previous authorizations by council or the city manager. And that's just kind of the routine. So I hope that helps too in terms of broader concept. So there's nothing unusual there other than projects that get picked up, maybe emergency projects that hadn't been evaluated in the budget, or other projects that have been approved through city council through goals and objectives that weren't picked up through the budget process.
And if we didn't do that, Mr. Brummett, if we didn't do that, then the auditors would pick up on that very shortly when they got here.
Thank you.
And we'd have another, we'd be in trouble. Mr. Rodriguez.
In my early days, believe it or not, we would go sometimes a whole year before we would get an amendment to the budget. It's not that someone wasn't keeping track of it, this account goes up, this account goes down, but, so it is, it's great to actually to see this. And then also, sometimes we look at these numbers and we think like, oh, wow, that's a big shift. Like, why didn't we plan for this, or why was it? But that's not really the case. I mean, you have you have an $18 million budget between all the funds, and there's not like a big flow. So you might see a $35,000 charge and think like, what is that? But really, in the grand scheme of things, one thing can be an emergency or go bad, and it needs to be replaced. So, from my experience, this looks fine.
Do we have a motion to approve it?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved in second to approve Resolution 2026-02. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now we have approval, or consider approval of Resolution 2026-03 to approve request from MDOT for converting M79 to 4 to 3 traffic lanes. And is there a motion to approve? to put
So
it-
moved.
Is there a
Second.
So now it's open for discussion. Mr. Christensen.
Just want to throw in, say I appreciate Mr. Richmond bringing his comments up, and I don't recall anything with regards to a safety meeting. There was an MDOT open house, which was held downstairs in the community room, pretty well attended by the community, and I mean, they laid everything out picture by picture. It was a very open discussion. They were open to good, bad, otherwise. And I took what you said, and I'm just kind of going through. One of the concerns we did hear was, well, it's going to hold up traffic. Not having that extra lane is going to slow traffic down. MDOT assures us that that's not going to happen, because you will actually have a controlled left lane movement now versus blocking a lane of traffic to turn left. So that is all going to smooth out. That is going to be on the safety side of it. Also, all of the signals in town, MDOT is continually monitoring that. They monitor traffic here more than anyone would think. When they see little hiccups, potential issues, they can address it right from their laptops pretty much. And they, I'm sure all through this process, they will be continually making adjustments as they are today. They make adjustments on no light timings for the crosswalks. They do all of that. So the nice thing about this is not only will we get new pavement, we're gonna have a little new traffic pattern, but the fact that this change, let's say it doesn't work. It just doesn't do what MDOT says. It's very simple to come in, remove those stripes, and restripe it back to 4 and move on. That's the advantage of this project. So we get a chance to see it, slow down the traffic. The carbon reduction, they said, is, put it in his words, was Captain Obvious. It will reduce the exhaust and stuff downtown. How? I don't know, that's their opinion, but they do it every day. So, and say, when we met with MDOT, it wasn't just with 1 or 2 engineers, it was the head of the office. I believe we had 10, 11 different components, engineers, traffic engineers. Everyone was there to answer our questions. And to have MDOT be willing to work with local governments is quite a change from the way it has been. Before, you couldn't get the time of day from them. And now they're willing to work with us. You know, it ain't gonna be too long, we're gonna have another project probably out on Lansing Street that's gonna have to be addressed. And, you know, we work good with MDOT. They help us, makes our community better, safer, traffic moves better, and we just continue to gain with MDOT. That's a good thing for the city. So it's a good thing for the citizens. So that's certainly why I'm supporting it, and I hope that helps a little bit.
Mr. Rodriguez.
I just want to make sure I have a couple details correct. When When you get to the main intersections, are those going to fan back out into two again? Is that correct?
Stephanie's here, so she will be able to answer your questions.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. So my question, I'll say it again. So when we get right here where Concord and Lawrence meet, are those going to go 2 lanes all the way through there? Or as you're coming in on, well, there's 1 lane each way, a center lane. As it's coming in and you get to the stoplight, is that going to fan out into 2 so you have a turning lane and a straight lane? Or is that not happening? Because I feel like in the graphs, the streets aren't named correctly.
Yeah, so if you look in the graph, here, yeah. So on the graph, it shows on Lawrence.
What page is this?
This is right here. This one.
Page 183-ish.
Yep. And then also, I don't have the page numbers on here, sorry. Another good depiction of it is, so there's this one. Can you see that? It doesn't say anything. It's the Cochran Avenue and Lawrence intersection. It looks like this.
So it does look like it's going to fan back out.
Yeah, so basically what it does is it's one center turn lane, right? And then when you get up to the intersection, the center turn lane turns into a left turn only, right? And then when you get back through the intersection, past where that's gonna be a left turn only, it goes back into a 1-1 center turn. Get what I'm saying?
I think I understand the graph. At first I was looking
Yeah.
at a different graph, but
Yeah, this one right here shows a really good depiction of
I do have that.
of
one.
what's gonna happen. Yep.
Okay. So I've personally been very skeptical of this, so I appreciate the comments, because actually the only reason it's on this meeting and it wasn't already approved is because I asked for council to move it, and I think the general consensus was to pass it, but out of respect, they moved it up. And so that gave me time to do some research on this, and it does seem counterintuitive. I mean, like, you go from 4 to 3, like, it just doesn't make any sense. But of course, I have my trusty binder from my good friend, Mr. Frost. And if anybody wants it, come and get it. If you want copies, we can make some copies. But it does seem counterintuitive, but the data seems to tell me that it's actually going to work. And so while I could see it possibly not working, I'm trusting in the process and also listening to those who have told me multiple times that if it doesn't work, it can be, it can be changed. This has been looked at a state level. And as you look, as roads get wider and wider and wider and expand, traffic never actually gets better. And so a couple good resources would be this packet here. I could recommend some Strong Towns material that I've been looking at, and it really does seem to suggest that this will help. So I hear your concerns for sure. But I think this is going to be the right direction. That's it. Thanks.
I just want to reiterate, I was with Anthony in this, thinking that this was madness last week because I've been watching that traffic build over the last 5 years or better, but, and I needed to see the plan. So I was glad we got to see the plan, and I am convinced that it will actually work, counterintuitive or otherwise.
I've driven through there many times. We talk about safety, and that's what I do for my full-time job is safety. Looking at the 4 lanes that we have now going through downtown, and the possibility of having a left turn lane in there. Some of the comments, if you look out on Hamburger Alley on Lansing Road and that sort of thing. It's hard to get out into traffic from the businesses, because there is so much traffic coming in, on Lansing Street and so forth. But coming down and widening out into the 4 lanes, and then you've got people that want to make a left onto Bostwick and all the Pearl and the Admiral gas station, and people are coming to a stop, and you've got all the traffic heading at you with 2 additional lanes. You start getting people that, it's the rush of traffic, and they're making some adverse moves to go out and around. They're not clearing traffic. They're causing, some close calls. We've had some accidents, on those 4 lanes. Providing a left turn lane to make those left turns, going north or south off of Lawrence, seems to be a pretty good, safety resolution, in my aspect for that. Being on a fire department and driving fire trucks down through there as well, it's going to be a little bit wider right-hand area for people to get off of the road. They're shrinking, making the parking areas down by the courthouse and that sort of thing, wider, and that's going to, give a little more area for people to clear out of the fire trucks and police, ambulance, all the emergency vehicles there. So, Mr. Richmond, I agree with your kind of mixture of feelings on this as well. I was kind of confused. I'm glad Anthony asked to kind of hold it off for a little bit, seeing the packet and kind of the layout and the diagrams. I also feel that it's going to be a change, and it's going to be one that's going to be maybe a little difficult to get used to and figure out that you're going to have to merge. You're going to have to actually make a left-hand turn and that sort of thing. So hopefully we can get past that and have a positive outcome for this.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Oh, yeah. Through the process, there's been a lot of different things, and sometimes the characteristic or the characterization of the project is strange. Carbon emission, carbon reduction, nonsense if you ask me. But that's how the government packages all these things together. So that's it. That's it for me.
Here's one thing.
Mr. Christian.
Just to address you, Anthony, the deal with MDOT is people think there's this one pot of cash that they get to do projects. And in this case, this project actually comes from, I believe, 3 different pots of funding. Carbon reduction has its own funding. Believe it or not, it does. Road Diet has its source of funding. And that's the process anymore. One benefit we did have, I was on this project very early, was the city of Marshall. MDOT came in and did the same thing. So they've had a season to work with it. And the business owners that I've talked to, I can't find anyone that disagrees with it. Everyone says it's worked very well. So at least there was some experience to go on somewhere close by where the change has been made. And they're very happy with it.
Wrong.
All right. As we know, nobody here other than Kevin's got more time in the city. Lansing Street was just like Lawrence was years ago. There isn't a person that I could find that was there then today that says that was better. And you have more business on Lansing Street than any other spot along the entire part of what is Lawrence Avenue and M79. I asked when I sat here the very first day when it was tabled, thank you, Anthony, to make this decision, where does Lawrence Avenue start? What is M79? I know the answer, but the question was posed without Stephanie's presence. What are you calling these roads? Where are we referencing? There is an extreme problem today when you go to the east leaving off of Cochrane, because everybody wants to rush to get merged right in front of the new Sunoco station. Everybody's pushing to be able to get pushed into that one lane going out to Fast Food Alley. So and the sign is backwards. It tells you that you're supposed to merge to the left, but truly you're supposed to move to the right. And that's just signage, but just the same. This is on a road that's maintained that we're supposed to try and follow the signage. The only way I'll support this is that if there's a full-fledged traffic light at the corner of Lincoln and what I believe is called Lawrence Avenue, and becomes M79. The reason being is that's where a lot of problems pose that create and follow through all the way to the railroad tracks. As people come up there and don't know how to use a 4-way stop, unfortunately, and I believe most of them are outside of the city of Charlotte coming in, they come in there and then they want to pass into the lane that actually is supposed to, when you're going to the west, that is, they will go The lane on the far right is supposed to continue, but it doesn't line up with the lane that actually goes to the left, which would take you out to Spartan Motors. And the amount of traffic that flows through there when Spartan Motors exits for the end of the day, people come up to that corner and then try to go down past the old A.E. Hoover building or MSU Credit Union. I understand, when it comes to the mergers and the potential to turn left, but again, look at the map that they provided us and the number of businesses that are on the south side of Lawrence Avenue to the west of the train tracks. Absolutely none. The only one would be the Hudson's building, which is accessible from the other road. So they don't need to come down there and take a right-hand turn if they were headed into town. In addition to that, we have absolutely zero, and MDOT included, control over the railroad tracks. So the railroad tracks does what it wants. The trains flow like they do. You're not going to turn the traffic light on to stop the vehicles in relation to the train. And I personally believe that the only way you'll know it will work is if you give it a chance. But unless they've got a pot of money they're setting aside for us to restripe the road when the time comes to need to restripe the road. Now, I'm totally on board with the fact that we need new asphalt. But I don't like the thought of buying into this just simply to repave the road in hopes that we can restripe the road if we change our mind. The fact that the traffic lights have the ability to regulate traffic right now, we should improve that. But do we have that control at the city? I don't think so. I think MDOT does that totally on their own, and if it needs to improve, I'd like to see it improve for a little while, see those lights changing when there's no one there waiting, that kind of thing. I have come in at 4 o'clock in the morning to head to the west, and the light makes me stop as if I'm not the only one at the corner. I want to go forward, turn green for me. So I have a hard time with the fact that that whole corner is controlled by someone other than us. If, and the question would be if Stephanie's willing to answer it, if she had more control of that light, I'd be even more on board with it, because that is a primary corner. It is the heartbeat of our city, and it allows the things to happen that happen. It could make it very inconvenient if it sees a semi-truck and says, look, you're going to wait for 10 minutes. Go the other day next time. But it doesn't. It treats us all the same. So I don't know if you're willing to buy in. I want to do what's right for everybody, but I also want to make sure that you don't forget what happened 30-some years ago.
Did you have an answer to that, Stephanie?
Yeah. You can't change the signal timing as the lanes stand now. With the way that the lanes are spelled out, the traffic signal timing cannot change because of the way the traffic patterns are. The only way to change the traffic signal timing is to change the lanes itself. So if you look at what MDOT provided here, they're called LOS, A through, on here is D, it actually goes to F in the civil engineering world, traffic engineering world. It means level of service. So level of service meaning A is the best, level of service F is the worst. So level of service A is free flow, best. Traffic's free flowing, there's not a lot of holdups at the intersection, right? You go to what we currently have, which is a level of service of D, which is approaching unstable flow, high density, restricted speeds. So this is why you see when you come up here at this intersection, there's a lot of backed up traffic. It's a level of service D. That's just how it's gonna be. You change the lane configuration, now we're going to a level of service A and B. So now we'll be at a free flow, or B is a reasonably free flow, very similar to each other. So just by restriping in a 1-1 center turn lane is gonna change that level of service at the intersection from significantly bad to significantly good. So this is why I have no problem with what they're doing. You're right, I can't control the signals, but I will tell you that I do have a good relationship with MDOT, and if I call them with something that concerns me, they definitely listen to me. I mean, I talk to Melissa Longworth probably once or twice a week about random things that's going on in the city or concerns that I have, so they're always listening to me, they're always on board, they're excited that I'm excited, so it makes them excited, so I'm not concerned about any of this. I actually think this is really exciting because not only does it change the level of service from really bad to really good, it also gives us extra buffer for the parallel parking, which is very, very terrifying, as all of you know. We're gonna go from no buffer to 4.5 to 5 feet of buffer. And then also, right here in front of City Hall, you'll go from what is now a 25-foot westbound traffic to 35-foot westbound traffic for the fire trucks to turn around in and pull out in. So overall, I think it would be silly if we didn't do this because it's just going to improve the flow of traffic through town. And let's say that somebody wants to maybe reconsider what the downtown corridor is going to be. We have to make this signal timing change and these lane changes if we think we're going to reconstruct downtown. Because the way it sits now, it's not going to work out. And MDOT, this is also why MDOT's on board, because they know that we're looking at a reconstruction of downtown. This is the time that they have and the money that they are putting in that we can make the difference now to be able to do that reconstruction of downtown. So it's all lining up for a longevity for the city to be in a better standing point. So once we can change also, let's say we get funding to change Cochrane North and South, you're gonna see that level of service go from Cs to likely As and Bs as well. So it's all setting us up for a bigger, broader picture, and that's where everybody's mind needs to be. And in the meantime, it's just gonna make everything better anyway. The traffic flow is gonna be way better than what it is now.
Thanks for your information. Anybody have anything else? I'll just add my 2 cents worth that he's correct, that when they went to change the 3 lanes out on Lansing Street, Tiger's my witness, I was one of the maddest wet hens there was around this place. You're gonna cause all this, you're gonna blah, 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 and I said, we won't be able to get around with the fire trucks, we can't get out here, blah, blah, all that stuff. And I was told, no, it's gonna cause less accidents. And I said, oh, you're crazy, we're gonna have more wrecks out there than you ever saw. And you won't be able to get through, and we went through all this, and we argued and argued with everybody, and you know what? They were right, and I was wrong. So it was much better. The accident rate went down like 50%. And we know because we go if they have a wreck out there, and we don't go anymore. So, question?
Well, I'm just saying that, for the most part, everybody wasn't here when that happened. And still to this date, there's probably 1 or 2 people out there that'll say I'm wrong. Lansing Street isn't the way it should be. So what's the level of service there? I mean, we're getting this information. Maybe I need to do a little more research, but there's improvements on that flow out there that need to occur. You cannot turn to go to the left out of the plaza right now on a regular basis. And that should be improved. And if they have control of those lights, which they should, or someone should, then it should change. And then our level of service is totally up to us by regulating that flow. Maybe I'm overthinking this, but I feel like it's one of those things that people pushed that through like they did, and we said, okay, sure, let us see. We have a problem. Right now, we know we have a problem. Are we gonna have an improvement? Well, we can either continue with the same problem, or we can have a potential improvement. And I understand we're playing for the long game. We're looking for the improvement on Cochrane. We're looking to play for the next hand. It's not going to be the end of the world, but we do have those particular issues. Right now, again, this is me. Put up a light that says the firemen need to leave. All of a sudden the light lights up, you know that the fire barn's going to let the fire trucks out. Right now, there is no indicator at all. There are places out there that have that, and it lights up and says, okay, listen, it controls the traffic light, and it changes. And just the same, the train, it is not able to be regulated by us. But, there are people that this has been going on for a while, and so therefore, it's a good thing. But I just want to make it known that I'm not 100% opposed. Just want to see some different things. A traffic light at the corner of Lincoln and Lawrence, I think, would be an improvement. And if it's in the plan, I didn't see it, so.
So I don't particularly know the level of service of the light at Island and Lansing Road, but with my conversations with MDOT, they know that that's a big concern that I have of the backup of traffic there. It's something that we talk about all the time. It's hopeful that with the change of the 221 and the merging to non-merging, that will take some of that away. But if we go this route and change the intersection here, there will be signal timing changing that has to happen there as well. So it will all come together once this is changed. So hopefully we'll have a level service A from the highway all the way through town. That's the goal. As far as a traffic light at Lincoln, I haven't brought that up to them. I can. I do know that requires a traffic study and that can take some time. So if you're hoping that there's a traffic light gonna go in with this project, that's probably not gonna happen. I mean, you're talking a year to 2 years it takes for traffic studies to be done and then for the pot of money to be there because traffic signals themselves are very, very, very expensive. So that will be something that we can talk to them about in the future, but having that affect this decision, I don't think is wise because I can't tell you that's ever gonna happen. I don't know.
Okay, I think we're ready to vote. Motion to approve the ordinance 2026-03 for MDOT converting 79 to 4 to 3 traffic lanes. Clerk can call the roll.
Fullerton,
Yes.
Chin,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Christensen,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Brummett.
Yes.
Motion carries. Second reading and consider approval of ordinance 2025-09 to adopt the International Fire Code 2021 edition. That's pretty normal that they're 4 years behind. So is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Brings us to public comment. From the public. Anybody online? We're 17 minutes past anyway. We gotta hurry. Do we have any staff comments? No, she's talked enough already. We'll cut her off. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mayor Fullerton. I do want to acknowledge Dan Daly. Dan, this room and the audio and the visual and all that, it's a work in progress. Nothing's perfect, but could you give us a little bit of the highlights that you've been working on regarding this? It's a council goal, and I think it's appropriate to talk a bit about it and maybe even celebrate.
Well, I don't do actually any of the work. I just hire the people that do the work. But Ron's the brains behind the operation. He's in the background right now running the meeting in the back. But we're getting close. We got some artwork that's coming. It's going to be hung up in the next couple weeks. The TVs that you guys see up there, hopefully we'll have some presentations on them and you'll be able to see some stuff. Instead of paper handouts, we'll be able to do electronic versions in the future. There is an electrician coming, so that the fire marshal signed off on that extension cord earlier today, so that will be gone. But yeah, we're getting towards the end. Painting will be hung up here shortly, so we're wrapping up the project. But appreciates everybody's time and letting us get some work done and testing the microphones and stuff. So appreciate that.
Thank you, Dan. And I guess, you know, again, these agendas looks pretty straightforward, and it's great debate at council. The volume of work that's going on behind the scenes with this staff is amazing. Michaela, thank you for hanging in there, because it's been a workout, and she's doing great. I'm going to just pick on the folks that are here. Tiger, this fire ordinance and all the work and effort and energy the fire department has put into that. It's not just adopting a code, it's going through a lot of work. Dan, thank you for all the work that you're doing. Stephanie, great presentation. You have a good sense of what's going on, and I think you put a point on it. We have an advocate at City Hall on those state trunk lines, and just to be clear, those state trunk lines really are not owned by the city. They're owned by the state, so they have controls. So to have an advocate at Stephanie's level to really help us is really something else, and that's just one of the many, many pieces that Stephanie's working on. So I could talk with, I already mentioned Christina, Paul Brentauer, and the work that's going on at the police department, our community development work, and everything going on. I just wanted to express that, because you got a shy group of folks here. They're not going to rah-rah themselves, as you know, but that's okay, because at the end of the day, we're all here to make a positive difference for the citizens of Charlotte. We're not perfect, but we're doing the best we can with an extraordinary amount of effort. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. That's all I have.
Council, comments, start over here at the left. I'm timing you too.
I'll time myself. No, that's all right. Thank you. First off, thanks to those of you who made your way out tonight, those watching online. I hope you all can hear us better. I know I can hear myself better, so I'm hoping that's a good sign. Did the rest of the plan, was there a buffet going on that wall? Something to that effect? I thought I'd heard some rumor, but, okay, all right. Our next meeting, which is on the 26th, I will be out of town at my daughter's in Minnesota, and hopefully I won't be missing anything great or super important, but I have not seen my daughter in a few years, and we want to make that trip out. And this will be the last meeting I work with you, Mr. Hillard. So I want to thank you for everything. So you've done wonders for us, and I appreciate it very much. That's all I got.
Mr. Newman.
I was reading through our packet, and I did find one of the resolutions that I think we need to make an attempt to correct. It's on the page 175-ish. It's a typo in the certificate of the amending of the operating and capital budget for this fiscal year. It's got the old city clerk's name in there with Michaela's signature, so need to make a motion or a recommendation to get that corrected.
Did she already correct that, Michaela?
He told me about it, I just didn't know if it had to be on the record. So yes, I was made aware of it tonight. So I can make the change, I just didn't know if it had to be on the record.
As long as it was done before we passed it. You corrected it before we passed it?
No, he told, I made the note, just like
Okay.
it's just not online.
So we just didn't have a current copy of it, so it's legal the way you did it. Because you are the keeper of the records, and your record will reflect that it was you, that not the past clerk. Okay.
Very good. Again, thank you to everybody that's showed up here on this evening and online. I appreciate it as we go through a lot of different discussions and get involved in what we're doing and how we're doing it. With the comments that are made, and kind of makes me think about what is going on out there and what we can do to make Charlotte better.
Mr. Brumman.
Thank you to the mayor for asking about my interest in the Parks Board. I do have a fondness for those things that grow, that are green, and so that's great. And I look forward to, because if I'm not mistaken, there's city staff present there too, and they have a very fondness for that. I know that for a fact too. Thank you to Mr. Hillard for all of your help. I've taken to heart the fact that you don't like to be approached at the meeting on things, and so when I'm reviewing what I'm supposed to review, make those calls to find out if that's correct. I did get an opportunity to find out what happens with the water when it goes down the toilet, and I know there's not too many people who've been there, and I invite you that choose to go and take a whiff of what happens after the fact and understand that they make it safe so that it can go back to the ground. So I think that's outstanding, and that place is amazingly clean and very well organized. It sets the bar for probably everybody's household on how organized and well-run it is. And I have a desire to take part in a few other things that are bring you to speed with what goes in the inner workings. So thank you for all of you and your support, and I'll try to do my best to continue to do the job that I'm supposed to be doing. Thank you.
Mr. Scott.
I just want to thank you for coming. Remind you that I have office hours from 10 to noon on Tuesdays if you'd like to discuss any of this at length. Thank you for coming.
Yes, also thank you for everyone who is participating this evening. A report from the Michigan Municipal League. Our new board president is Joshua Atwood. He's a commissioner, which is same as the council for the city of Lapeer. Legislatively, some information that was interesting is that this past legislative year, there were 74 bills passed and signed, which is far less than the average or normal, which has been about 350 bills a year that they pass. So things aren't moving very quickly through Lansing. State of the state, the governor will have her state of the state at the end of February, and probably the focus is going to be on education and property tax reform. Again, Headley and Proposal A kind of hurts cities as far as being able to, get the revenue they need to operate, but nobody's come up with a different plan yet from that standpoint. The chamber, of course, will be continuing to fight for a revenue-sharing trust fund that makes at least a minimum amount of money available for cities on a guaranteed basis if they establish this trust fund. And also the My Homes program, which is the Michigan Municipal League's attempt to help with the housing situation and the lack of affordable housing in the state. For our fire department, I don't know if you've heard back yet, but the $650 million cut that was made, which included our fire training facility, was called unconstitutional by the Attorney General, and that money is starting to flow. So let me know if you've heard from the county. If not, we can approach them to try to get the money before it's stopped again. The lawsuit's been filed, but it'll take a while, and they've been authorized to release the money that was originally there, so hopefully we'll get our money back for that. Remember, on January 22nd and February 7th, the newly elected officials training will be held virtually. I urge our new members to sign up for that. You can go to the Michigan Municipal League website and look at it and see some of the programs that are included in that. They're very helpful. I think some of us have gone through that before from that standpoint. That's it for Michigan Municipal League. The Housing Committee did make a presentation to the Michigan country on January 8th, and folks were very interested and certainly agree with our situation. They also passed out the housing portion of the master plan so that folks had that to review as well from that standpoint. And I'm not sure, but the second quarter budget report should be coming out shortly. Mr. Hilliard, yeah, okay. And that's it. Thank you.
Mr. Rodriguez, anything?
I just want to thank Mr. Hilliard for your time here. I still personally think it's a bummer that you're leaving, but people come and go, and so I wish you the best in whatever's next. My experience with you has been absolutely amazing, and so thank you very much. You did say Dan is responsible for this room, so if anything goes wrong, it sounded like you were giving it to him, but I'm going to blame Ron because I have to see this guy all the time, so I'll blame Ron, and you should know I updated my fire extinguishers today, so you'd be very proud of me. A couple things I would like to see council work on is really developing a strong plan for what happens when a council member resigns. It's a little messy, and I think having everything in one place, a plan document would be awesome. And then also a plan for new members who come in. I was completely lost when I came in, and sometimes I'm still lost. And having an onboarding process for new members is key We really need that. And then another thing we absolutely need for all new members is a single place where members can go to get information on special assessment and the explanation of all of it and why it exists. Because when I came in, I had one idea and I realized that I was way off. And so it takes a long time to get someone up to speed on that because the information's sort of just everywhere. So I feel like that's something that needs to be done. And that's it for me. Thanks.
And that special assessment will be different this year anyway, so we'll all get keyed in on that in the next couple weeks probably. I know they're meeting on it already. It's playing out pretty good. I think you'll be okay with how it's spelled out, that this is what the special assessment's gonna be spent on. I think you'll like it a lot better than the 84% and we don't even know where it went, because I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
We tried to get them to pin down, and now we will know where it goes. And I, like Mr. Brummett, we're trying to, keep this run by the charter, and I think everybody's following that. And when you have a question, you know who to call, and that's the city manager. Department heads are really pretty much off limits for council, go through the manager. If you I had a snow complaint over there, I don't know if you got it, but they got your number. It's not up to me to solve that. No, it's not up to any of this council. We can't solve the problem. We have a manager. We're going to have somebody's going to replace him. And the manager's got to manage the employees. We don't manage the employees. The city council doesn't tell the employees what to do, but the manager does. So our contact is with the manager, and if we have people that call you, and I know sometimes you want, well, I'll take care of that. Don't take care of it. It's not your role as a council person. Let the manager manage, and he may send them to a department head, but as a general rule, no, he will not. And we for as big a meeting as we had today with a guy that took up 33 minutes of our time, we'd have been right on schedule at 1 hour if we hadn't had to go through the audit. So anyway, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.